What's up, guys? It has been with 2020 election predictions, and right now you are looking at what I think is going to be the finalized presidential results for the 2020 election. The media organizations have not called several states. These include Nevada, Arizona, Pennsylvania, and Georgia. And as you can see right now, some of the margins I think are going to change. So what I put down are what I think the final margins are going to be. And just to remind you, the tilt states, which are kind of in this light color, are between 0 and 2 percentage points. The lean states like Texas, Florida, Michigan, and Nevada, they are between 2 and 5 points. The likely states, which are kind of a darker color, like Ohio, Iowa, and Minnesota, they're between 5 and 12 points, and the solid states are 12 points and above. So this is where I think the race will stand right now, and some differences between like where it is right now. For example, Texas, Trump has a 6 point margin, but I think it's going to go down below five as all the votes come in. Same with Nevada, Biden is up by I think about 1 percentage point right now, but I think it's going to go over two once all the votes get counted. And maybe some other states right now, like I think Biden might be a little bit above two, but I think it's going to be below two. And I'm recording this video at 5:50 p.m. right now, so things might change. None of the main media organizations have called the race for Biden, but I think it's going to be very very soon. I think Vox has called it for Biden because they called Pennsylvania. Um, but we will see lately. So I do think Georgia, Pennsylvania, and Arizona are all going to very narrowly go to Biden. I don't know that for sure yet because they haven't been called. And same with North Carolina. I do think it's going to go to Trump. But what I want to show you right now is why my predictions, compared to kind of all the experts, the people who get paid to do this in the field, compared to all the pollsters, I had the most accurate predictions out of anyone that I've seen. And this includes other YouTubers like Let's Talk Elections, Red Eagle Politics, some other ones, official election predictions. I think that at the end of the day, the Biden Harris ticket's going to get 300 electoral votes. My prediction the night of, and just to prove it, this was my video. I did it at 5:30 p.m. Before we were getting any of the results in. I had it at 3:05, and I've replicated my prediction map right here. The only two states I got wrong were North Carolina and Georgia, but I got them wrong on both sides, and they're only one electoral vote apart. So I essentially got it spot on. I'm one electoral vote off, and compared to all the other models, Nate Silver got it wrong. Um, if we can see here, Nate Silver called Florida for Biden, um, and he called North Carolina for Biden as well. So his electoral vote total was definitely off. If we see as average, he had 348 to 190, which is fairly off from what it actually was. I was only one electoral vote off. If we look at the economists, they were even more off. Um, they had it 356 to 182. Same with the JHK forecast. The average electoral votes here about 350 to 187. So let me kind of dig into the data to show why I was right while the other mainstream experts who are literally getting paid for their job got it wrong. So just to preface this, I really want y'all to go back and watch this video. It doesn't have a bunch of views, but this was my last prediction the night of the election at 5:30. So I had not seen any of the results, but I'm just going to play a portion of it right here just to kind of give you an idea of I was predicting the exact things that were going to happen. I did get some of the margins off. In some places, I overestimated Biden. In some places, I overestimated Trump. I think overall, I overestimated Biden slightly. But as we can see, I predicted Trump to get one more electoral vote than he actually did. So I was pretty much spot on. But let me play this real quick. In Iowa and Ohio, I think there's going to be a significant polling error in Trump's favor. So I think he's going to win these states, not have too much trouble there. In Georgia and Florida, I'm not super confident about it. In fact, in Georgia, I've always had it going to Trump. However, I really think at this point, just depending on turnout, especially kind of in the Atlanta region, which has been growing tremendously, that could affect it. Stacey Abrams, after she lost the 2018 gubernatorial race, has made a huge effort on trying to register and turn out people to vote. And then I would also say with the Senate, it's kind of a disaster for the Republicans in the special election with Kelly Wolford and Doug Collins, said that might have a negative impact there. However, right now, some of it very narrowly going to Trump, but really, I think this is a closer state than people think. Florida, I actually have more comments that Florida's going to Trump, just kind of looking at some of the data that's coming out in Miami-Dade County. And if we look at the vote totals right now, it does appear that more registered Republicans have voted than Democrats. And kind of going off the historical data, from the 2018 midterms where the polls were off, and the Republicans ended up winning. I do think Trump will hold Florida, and I think that the seniors, enough seniors kind of fell back to him. The seniors that voted for him in 2016 who are maybe thinking about Biden, I think enough fell back to Trump for him to keep the state. Okay, so I'm not going to go too far into that video, but I'm gonna put the link to it so that y'all can watch it. But what I was saying, I actually didn't get the exact margins here right. But I knew, even though that the Democrats were up in some of the polls by 4 and 5 points in Ohio and Iowa, I knew these were going to be wrong. Looking at the 2016 midterms, we can see that Donald Trump won these by 7 and 8 points. I knew Donald Trump was going to win these states, and not even by tilt margins. I had it as lean margins. It ended up being likely margins. So I underestimated Trump slightly, but I called these states while other people didn't. The people at 538, Nate Silver, had just these margins, tiny margins, within 1 point, within 2 points here. I knew it was not going to be that close. And then going into Florida, you saw I predicted Miami-Dade County turnout was going to be high, and there was good information coming out of Miami-Dade County for Trump. I called this before we even knew it. Because of increased support for Trump among Hispanics, especially among Cubans. And then also, I said in the past video, you can read it, that I thought Georgia was going to be closer than Florida. I underestimated Trump slightly in Florida, because Florida is probably went to Trump by 3 points. I said it was going to be between 1 and 2 points. But the point is the same. I knew Georgia was going to be closer. I was wrong about Georgia, but I knew Georgia was going to be in the recount territory, and I told you the reasons why. Higher turnout in the Atlanta metro area, which has been growing. Their economy's been growing, and after the 2018 midterms, Stacey Abrams made a huge effort to turn out the vote, and it seemed to have worked. And that's why I said I didn't have a ton of confidence in Georgia, and same in North Carolina. I didn't play back the clip, but I said the two states that I have the least amount of confidence are in North Carolina and Georgia. I said I have a fair amount of confidence that Texas, Florida, Arizona, and Pennsylvania are going to go their respective ways, but I have the least amount of confidence in Georgia and North Carolina, so I was spot on there. Some other places where I was slightly wrong. In Texas, I think Texas is going to end up going to Trump by a lean margin. I thought it was going to be a little bit closer in Texas, but I knew that turnout was going to be high. I thought this would actually help Biden more than it did. But still, Trump won it, and I called it, and I had a high amount of confidence. Even though I thought it was going to be in the tilt margin, I said I still have a high amount of confidence that Trump is going to win the state. In the Rust Belt, I got it spot on. The only state where I got it a little bit off was in Wisconsin. I thought this was going to go by a lean margin. It ended up going by a tilt margin. But you can see overall, I mean, very, very accurate here. In the state of New Hampshire and Maine, I got it exactly right. And Minnesota, I knew these were going to be by likely margins. Just some other differences here. I mean, this is just kind of splitting hairs. Colorado's went by a solid margin instead of a likely margin. I thought it was going to go by a likely margin, so a spot where I underestimated Biden. But, I mean, I even called the races in South Carolina. I thought that was going to go by a likely margin. The only place we don't know right now is Alaska. I said in my prediction that I thought it would go by a likely margin, and I still hold by that, but we don't really have data out right now. So I just want to establish that right now. 538, the Economist, CNN, Fox News, any of y'all, if you want to hire me, I would be happy to take a job. I was more accurate than all of y'all, and I just want to establish. You can watch my video. There are timestamps on them. I promise you. I'm not just making this up. So I would love to hear what you think in the comments. People in the comments had called me biased, saying I was going to be wrong. I think I ended up being pretty right. So I would love to hear what you have to say now, and I don't mean to gloat by any means, but I just want to um, show you what I had and show you what I had. I was gonna do this video even if I was wrong. I'm glad I was right. Um, but just for the sake that my accurate predictions ended up being right, I'm not making a statement on whether I think it's better that Biden or Trump won. But I think that my data, my personal data, looking at the voter registration, looking at the polls, looking at the historical returns, I think me kind of including those data in a complete total was more accurate than a lot of people in the media who were just too reliant on the polls. I mean, we saw the plus 17 poll out of Wisconsin that ended up being completely wrong. I think this influenced me a little bit too much, in fact. I should have had it in the tilt margin. I had it in the wing category. I'm only 1 point off there. So, I mean, you can give me a slight break there. But, I mean, these polls threw me off a little bit, but not that much. I mean, I got it pretty right. So thank you guys for watching the video. If you haven't subscribed now, hopefully I've gotten some more credibility. So please subscribe now. This channel is not over. I'm going to keep on making videos, especially analysis after the end of the video. So thank you guys for watching, and be on the lookout for my next video.